Welcome back to Recovery 209. This is episode 4, man. And today we're diving into another powerful story of experience, strength, and hope. This platform was created to shine light into darkness. And today's conversation does exactly that. Our guest is someone who has walked through addiction, faced the consequences, and found a new way to live. If you're listening and feel stuck, broken, or unsure if change is possible, stay with us. This episode might be the reminder you didn't know you needed, man. So let's dive into it. Let's go. Seven o'clock.
What's
What's
poppin',
up,
bro?
my boy? How's it going?
Oh man, it's going well. How you doing?
I'm doing good, bro. I'm doing good. I'm glad to have you on, bro. Um, so like I said, man, this is my boy. I'm gonna let him introduce himself. And let him share a little bit about his experience, his strength, and his hope, and where he's at today in life, and how recovery turned his darkness into light. Uh, so Julian, my first question to you, man, is what feels different about you today? Well, first of all, you can introduce yourself, bro.
Yeah. My name's Julian Vasquez. My sobriety date is June 24, 2020. So just well over 5.5 years now. I'm from San Jose, California, and I've met Bernie. Have had the blessing of meeting Bernie one time. We actually met online, and so thank you for inviting me on this live. I really appreciate it. It's gonna be a good time.
Yeah, definitely, bro. What feels different about you today compared to who you used to be?
Oh man.
So I want
Uh,
to I want to start it off a little different because I don't want to just jump into the darkness. I want to get to know you a little bit more like now for the viewers.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. You mind if I smoke a cigar?
Do your thing, bro.
All right, cool. Yeah, what feels different about now? I think, I mean, I would say the physical part of it, right? The
Right.
physical part, and I think the clarity part on. Actually, I know the clarity part on life, just mindset, right? Perspective. My perspective on looking at a lot of things today is way different of how I used to look at things, right? I used to look at things like kind of like, why is this happening to me? No one cares about me. You know, all that shit that we think like when we're drinking and using, right? Today my thinking is how can I be a use to my wife? How can I be useful? Um, I heard this quote. It was actually from someone online. I forgot. I think it was Kevin Gates. He
Mm,
said that if you can't be used in life, then you're useless,
right.
right? And so I'm like, damn, like I want to be able to, I want to be useful to people. I want to
Hmm.
be able to, I want to be able for people to reach out to me and, ask me questions. And if I can answer it, then I would suggest it to them, right? If I have a solution, but if I can't answer it, I won't answer it, and I'll help them find someone else who can guide them on that answer. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
Yeah.
because you don't want to lead them into the wrong direction. You know what I mean?
Exactly, exactly. Because sometimes, I mean, let's face it, right? As an alcoholic, I have a big ego, and I have control issues, and I think I fucking know everything, and you know what I mean. And
Yeah.
I have to tone it down. I have to tone it down sometimes, because
Hmm.
I don't have all the answers. I definitely don't. So I give advice and suggestions the best I can. Um, if like I said, if I'm knowledgeable about something, I'll share my experience about it. But I will never tell somebody to do something that I haven't done myself.
Right.
I just feel like I feel like I have no moral authority to tell somebody that, you know. It weighs on me like a God conscience, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, bro. That's growth. That's maturity and growth. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely, man.
Um, when you wake up now, what's the first thing you feel?
The first thing that I feel,
Yeah.
I think since I mean waking up now is even if I'm tired, even if I'm like not feeling well, anything's better waking up now than how I used to wake up.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Cause like right now, like there's some mornings where obviously I wake up tired. I just had a newborn. I wake up tired. I wake up exhausted. Um, but my exhaustion doesn't compare to my wife's exhaustion.
Right.
My wife right now, like my wife is like she's like a real life like superhero.
Bro.
She's like
Yeah.
a real life superwoman. Like right now, like you know what I mean. And she's always been that in my life, right? But like
Mm-hmm.
especially now that we had a daughter, she's like I don't know how she does it. Like she gets like it's like that mother instinct that kicks in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I have that too now as a dad. It just looks a little bit different. Like when I wake up and I'm like, oh, I'm tired, right? It's like I don't feel tired because my mindset's different because I know there's things I need to get done, right? Or because I know I have to take care of my daughter.
Right.
You
Hey,
know?
and congratulations on the newborn, bro.
Thank you, bro. Thank you.
Definitely. So now we're gonna jump into a little different part of questions, man. What was the hardest truth you avoided for the longest time about yourself?
About myself, um, I think the victim mentality.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't ready to be accountable for all the stuff that I was doing, right? Because I caused a lot of damage. I caused a lot of damage growing up, right?
Right.
And and as much as I wanted to blame other people or you know this and that, um, I had to be accountable for the shit that I was doing, you
Right.
know. And I avoided that for so long.
Mm-hmm.
I avoided the accountability aspect of it for so long, and I think that's why victim like when somebody plays the victim now it bothers me so much,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's because it's like, dude, like I was there, like why can't you just be accountable for it? Like, but then I realized like people don't have the, I guess people don't go through the motions like how we go through them. You know what I mean? To be able to be guided to where we can be accountable,
Mm-hmm.
if that makes sense.
Yeah, because you do a lot of inner work, you know what I mean, and you see right through the bullshit, you know, and you know we carry ourselves with humility, but sometimes we want to tell them like, you know, bro, like, bro, no one's gonna come save you. You know what I mean? Like you're gonna have there's consequences to your actions. That's why we work a program. We make amends. You know, we do the things that we do so that we don't hold that onto us, you know, anymore. You know?
Yeah, for sure. And sometimes we have the tendency of still like I mean, I would love to say I'm accountable all the time, right? I would love to just be
Mm-hmm.
like, yeah, I'm like accountable and this, but sometimes I have to be checked, right? Like, thank God I have a sponsor who's like who's willing to hold me accountable. You know what I mean? Because I was talking to I called my sponsor the other day to talk about something, and he told me the first thing he told me was, "Oh, so it's all about you, huh? Like
Mm-hmm.
this is all about you?" And I was just like, "Damn, like you're right, like you know what I mean?"
Yeah. Do you ever
And
feel like that though?
feel like what?
Like it is all about you?
I think sometimes, yeah, and that's where I have to like check myself. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That's why I have to check. That's why it's constant work, right? It's like I have to remind myself that the world doesn't revolve around Julian.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
even though even just because I don't have alcohol in my system now, like I could still be a disrespectful like self-centered like asshole.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I don't want it just because the alcohol's gone. Like it doesn't mean that these characteristics that I had while I was drinking just automatically went away. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I could still be all those things, but that's where I have to like do like tune-ups every now and then to make sure that you know I'm not acting like that. You know?
Yeah, definitely, Julian. And that's the self awareness, you know. Because sometimes we veer off to that, you know. But I
Yeah.
always have to remind myself too, bro, that you know I know that it's all about me because if I don't do the work, if I don't do this, then and this is how I look at it, bro. Then I'm not gonna. be able to be the father to my children. You know, I'm
Yeah.
not going to be able to have a foundation. I'm not going
Yeah.
to be able to have that relationship with God. I'm not going to be able to be a good friend, a
Yeah.
sponsor, these things. So, but I have to remember that, you know what, I always have to put God first. You know, I always have to, because then it's easy for me to get self centered, you know?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's very easy for us. And I always say like the moment I stop like catching myself with like these bad like these defects that I have, right? The moment I stop like caring about these things that are happening like in my life or the way I'm acting, like that's not a good place to be in. You know what I mean?
Right.
If I'm noticing like yeah, damn, I was an asshole or like I was a bitch to like my sister or whatever, right? And
Hmm.
like and then I just don't care and I just like go on about my day. Like that's a bad problem to have. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they could just keep adding up, and it's just like, okay.
Sooner or later you're gonna and that's you're taking back steps towards a relapse.
Hmm. Yeah. So, okay. What moment still sits heavy on you when you were in your addiction? So, you
Well,
know, we obviously know that we suffer from, you know, addiction. Um, but when was the moment when you finally knew that it was getting out of control?
yeah, that was so I was just having this conversation with my wife either yesterday or the day before. I was telling her she was asking me like when did I know, right? And
Mm,
I think I was at the I was at the liquor store at like 5:45 in the morning, bro. And I would wait for my wife to leave the work. She wasn't my wife yet, obviously she was my girlfriend at the time, but I would wait for her to leave the work. I finished whatever bottle I have from like the night before, if I did have anything left.
yeah.
Um, but I was at the liquor store at 5:45 in the morning, and helping the lady pull open the gates to the liquor store so she could front me a bottle of alcohol, bro. Because
Uh-huh.
and I was sitting in my car, bro, nobody around, just Alexis in the front of the liquor store. 5:45 in the morning. I'm in sweats. I'm shaking. I'm throwing up. I'm dry heaving, right?
Yeah.
Because I don't eat when I drink, right? I'm dry heaving, and then I got a bottle of Fireball,
Uh-huh.
right? And it was she had just front me about a Fireball, right?
Right.
And you know, like every good alcoholic, I before I even start the engine in my car, I drink out of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sure enough, drive. I'm on the way home. I'm on the way home, and I'm at the light, and I finished the little shooter that I had, and I threw up all inside of my car, because my body rejected the alcohol, and so I
Yeah.
threw up all on the inside. I threw up all on the side of the car, like inside the door panel. There was throw up in the door panel.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what the fucked up part is? I didn't even care that the car was dirty and that I threw up. I was worried that I didn't have any more money for alcohol.
Mm.
I didn't care how I was feeling. I was just like, damn, like fuck this car. Like I just wasted alcohol because I threw up.
Yeah.
That was when I noticed and I felt it. I was just like, damn, like I'm probably an alcoholic, right? And
Yeah.
then even there was another moment too where I was at the liquor store around the same time, and the homeless guy in front of me when I was in my car, he was drinking the same bottle, the Taka vodka, the same bottle that I was drinking. And I looked at him, and I'm like, dude, like I'm that homeless person, you know what I mean? Except
Right.
I have a home to go home to. I have a car that's like running on fumes, right? Because I don't have no money, right? I remember I bought that bottle and I scrounged up some change from like under the seat, and it was like a $10 bottle of Tonka vodka for like $1.20. Like you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like straight rubbing alcohol, and
Yeah.
bro, I remember, yeah, I sat there and I was just like, dude, like that homeless guy is like me, you know?
You're headed down that route.
I'm like, yeah, like like I said, like I just got a home to go to a home to, but that could be me soon. Like, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Yeah,
Yeah.
bro.
It's good that you share that because, you know, we when we're in our addiction, bro, like, you know, some rock bottoms are deeper than others, you know what I mean? Just because I'm not pushing a shopping cart, just because, you know, I'm not living under a bridge, mentally I'm hurt. You know, mentally I'm in pain, you know, these things, but I could be there in the
Yeah,
blink of an eye. You know what I mean?
they're like Yets.
Yeah, they're all
Yeah,
yets.
they're all
You know.
yets. Yeah,
So that's why I tell people, bro, like don't compare your journey to others. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Because it could lead you right back out. You know, if not, it could lead you deeper into your addiction where you might not ever get another chance.
yeah, for
You
sure.
know.
Absolutely, yeah.
Well, so you say you grew up in San Jose, California, man. So what was childhood like for you? Like, was it a two parent home? Was it a broken family? You know, what was it
Yes.
like?
Yeah, so I was adopted. I was adopted at birth, right? And so like
Mm-hmm.
I grew up on the nicer part of the east side. So the way I see it, so there's like three different parts of the east side, right? There's the east side where I went to high school at, right? And I went to middle school at, and then there was like there's like the mid east side, which is like the little bit nicer where I live, and then there's like the really really nice east side, like evergreen, like top, like you know what I mean? It's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
broken into three sections the way I see it, and but I grew up with pretty much everything I needed and everything I wanted. Like my parents gave me a lot of stuff. My dad was retired military, or he is retired military now. My mom is a flight attendant. Like I grew up with everything I needed, right? Um,
Mm-hmm.
but because of my actions and because of my behavior, um, like not a lot of beautiful things happen inside this house, and it's all because of my drinking and my temper tantrums from a young age, and the self beliefs that I had about myself, like. I grew up and I had like, because I was adopted. I grew up at a young age, and I remember feeling like I had abandonment issues, right? You know what I mean? And I wasn't able to identify those until
Mm-hmm.
I got into sobriety.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And that's why I was always out like running amok like around here. You know what I mean? I was always out like with friends and sleeping at friends' houses and then never home and like you know what I mean, shit like that. So um, sobriety was able to help me identify these things that I had from a young age. But I mean, I grew up in good Christmas, good things like that. I from a younger when I started acting up, that's when my relationship with my sisters, I have three sisters. That's where the relationship got like rocky when I started just being a bad kid, like you know what I mean, stealing from them and stealing from my mom and stealing from my dad and my grandmother and all those things. That's where the relationships got like super rocky. You know what I mean?
So before the drugs and the alcohol, you were already being impulsive. You were already being disobedient. You were already
Exactly. The
acting out.
manipulation. Yeah, the manipulation
Mm.
but except that like obviously growing up, I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know those things.
Right.
You know what I mean? Until I looked back and there I was like, damn, I was like fucking manipulator and like you know what I
Yeah.
mean? I didn't know all these things until I was able to identify them later on, you know?
So do you ever, now that you're in recovery, do you ever, were the people around you kind of co-signing it, or that's just how Julian is, or were they trying to tell you like, hey, bro, you need to fucking shape up, like, come
Yeah, yeah,
on.
yeah. I think they were trying to tell me they were shaping me up, but also too like my mom she was like codependent when I was growing up. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So like she would always tell me like to stop and stuff, but then it was like she was kind of co-signing. Like my mom has always had my back. Like you know what I mean? My
Yeah.
mom has had my back. Like even when like she knew I was lying, like she still had my back. Like you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
so like that's codependency right there. You
Mm.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So and yeah, so I grew up like and then my
But
dad had like in like sixth or seventh grade, my parents got divorced and things like that, and my dad had left like later on, to a different state and stuff like that, and then what happens? I'm feeling like I'm not like it was all my fault again. You know what I mean?
hmm yeah, we tend that, and that victim mentality, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
It starts playing its role, and it just gets worse and worse,
for
Um,
sure.
so growing up around sisters and your mom and those relationships, I'm sure, because they're older, right?
All my sisters are older. Yeah.
So they're hearing everything about their little brother. You know what I
Oh
mean?
yeah, they were watching their little brother. Like I like to describe it as like deconstruct his life slowly.
Mm,
You know what I mean?
yeah, but it's like I love them, I love you, but and that's the thing where for me, I'll just share with me is that like that word I love, bro. It was thrown around everywhere. I didn't even
It
know what
was
love was.
it was loosely, it was thrown loosely. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and because I suffered from me too, bro, abandonment issues. Well, if you love me, why you leaving?
Yeah,
If you love me, why'd you do this to me?
yeah,
But I was doing the same thing.
yeah.
So where did it start getting where you were? Because I know a little bit about you, and where did it start getting where the law started getting into the mix
The
and
law, that was like around the first time I got incarcerated, that was in 2009 to like right when I turned like 19. That was when I got incarcerated. I was robbing houses.
hmm
Yeah, and I think I had had some other stuff before then, but just they were just like misdemeanor. Like they would cite me out, go to booking, and then just let me go. Like, you know what I mean?
yeah,
And so yeah, I had some like petty thefts and stuff like that because I was a klepto, bro. I used to like to steal shit. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
But you
whenever
had
I see,
everything though, right?
but I had, yeah, but I had stuff, but I wanted more, like that greedy part of me, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, like when I
It,
would, when it was crazy because when I was like robbing houses, right? I would wake up and I would have a couple $100 like in my pocket, but I would still want more and go like, you know what I mean?
yeah.
It's
It's that
crazy.
it's that thing where that decomprehensible demoralization, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And how what led to that? Like, were you when you would get high or when you would drink, would you want to like um go do it, or were you actually still doing it sober?
No, so that didn't start till yeah, I was probably I think I was sober a couple times, but most of the time I was like all coked out or like you know what I mean, um, I would drink like a little bit, you know what I mean. But what led to that was just that like I think that living like how I grew up, right, in San Jose, and even though I lived in a nicer part of the East Side, I still feel like I grew up because I mean I went to Overfield High School. That's like on the deep East, like, and I'm there 8 hours. I'm there like more than I should be on that on the in that area, and I'm hanging
hmm
out over there, and I'm on streets over there, and I'm hanging out, at this liquor store that we call Pops, right? And like we're just there, like so, and everybody else on the east side is there, and so I grew up with all these other habits that everybody had, but me, I want to be, the top dog to everything. So I'm gonna make sure I, rob houses and have money, and I'm gonna make sure I'm the one with the sack, and I'm gonna make sure, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And
Hey, Julian,
so,
do you feel like because of abandonment, right? That we tend to be able to adapt in different situations, right?
yeah,
And me, bro, because of those abandonment issues, I in my mind I was a leader, but really I was a follower.
yeah,
You know what I
yeah,
mean? I was trying to fit in every situation just to not just to avoid what I was feeling because I couldn't identify it then, but I can identify it now. Do you feel like that's kind of
yeah,
what's going
yeah.
on?
I could blend in. I feel like I could blend into like even now to this day, like right. I could blend in with like I mean obviously like so obviously I'm a broker, right? So I feel like and I was telling I forgot who I was telling this, right? But someone was telling me like yeah, yeah, I have many different walks of life that I'm able to use now, right? Because like,
Hmm
I'm a broker, so I have some financial advice I could use. I've been incarcerated, right? Um, I'm now going to school, so I have education, right? And I've
Right.
lived some like I was out on the streets in like high school, like you know what I mean, just doing dumb shit. So I have that street mentality, like you know what I mean. I can
hmm
still use it, right?
Right.
I've sat at the table with fucking, I had a celly that like gave me up on hella shit that like shot his dad like 6 times. Like, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
crazy stuff like that. So, and you got these people like teaching you stuff and now I'm able to use it to my benefit or I could blend in and I could hold a conversation with the high schooler while I'm at the high school, right?
Right.
I could drop my language barrier and I don't have to talk super professional. I could be like, "Come on, dog, what's cracking today?" Like, you know what I
Yeah,
mean? Because
yeah.
I could drop it and I could talk to them, and then they open up to me, like, you know what I mean?
It's like a
And then
chameleon there, bro.
yeah, and I think that's a benefit because even when guys come into even when guys come into the rehab, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
And you know what I mean? And they don't want to hear somebody all, super professional. They want to be like, "Hey, what's up, dog? Hey, I know what you're going through. Everything's gonna be cool, dog. Just trust me." You know what I mean? I
Yeah,
always tell, like some of the clients, right, when I go visit the treatment center, if they're a return client, I always tell them, "Come on, dog, just you gotta thug this shit out." Like that's why
yeah,
you gotta thug this shit out. Like this first week, you already know what time it is. It's gonna be rough. Let's just
yeah.
thug it out. You know what I mean? And that's like my code word to them. I tell them like, you know,
Well, definitely, bro, because now you're utilizing, you know, all that stuff that was bad, but into a positive way. You know what I mean? Uh, I read this. No, I watched this movie actually, where like, you know, where a drug dealer could be a great businessman because he's always on time. He knows how
yeah,
to count money. He's gonna find a way. But if you just do it in a positive way, bro, you could become a successful individual. You're a
yeah,
people's person. You could talk. You know what I mean? But you got to be able to do all that stuff comfortably in your own skin, right?
exactly.
Because for me, if if I wasn't under the the influence of drugs and alcohol, bro, I didn't even know who I was.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You know,
Yeah,
so it's just being able to recognize those today. You know, because of
yeah,
recovery, right?
exactly.
So you were incarcerated. You know, your trouble led you into the cell, man, and now you're in there, and uh, what's going through your mind?
Yeah, so I was grateful enough to I had it when I got incarcerated. Like so, like a lot of people think that I've been to prison. I've never been to prison. Like I never
Uh-huh.
been to, all my time. Like you'll see all these comments on my page, like oh he's been to prison and stuff like I learned all that stuff at the county jail I was at where I was here because I was on so in Elmwood we have Elmwood MLPS that's a level 1 level 2 and then
Uh-huh.
when I went into the main jail that was level 3 and level 4 and that's where I learned like that's where I had guys like teaching me like my people like telling me like teaching me how to cook and teaching me like all this stuff that you see on making the reels and stuff like
Yeah.
that right so
Uh-huh.
when people are like oh he must have learned that in prison it's like no just I had a lot of people gave me up like and show me the ropes like you know what I mean and I definitely not say it to glorify it, but it was just a fact. Like I needed to learn how to survive in there. Do you know what I mean? Because it's a different mentality, you know. And so I had to adapt really quick. And my mindset in there is completely different from when I was out on the streets. Like you know what I
Uh-huh.
mean? It's
Yeah.
like I'm gonna do what I gotta do in here to stay on 2 feet. And it's crazy because my mindset. I remember sitting. The last time I was incarcerated, I remember sitting because I was on lockdown, right? So I was in the county hole over here. So I was
Uh-huh.
coming out. I was coming out an hour every other day, right?
Okay.
And then other than that, I was in a single person cell. And I remember sitting there at the cell door. I remember looking at the door. I remember thinking like, I could do like this is okay with me. Like you know what I mean?
Settling. You're settling.
I was settling for what life was giving me,
Right.
and and I was like, okay, well, if I gotta go to prison, then I'm gonna go to prison. Like, there's probably better food up there, like more freedom. Like, I was like, fuck
Mhm.
it, like let's do what I gotta do then. And that's a sad mindset to be in. You know what I mean? To
Yeah,
be able to
definitely,
just
bro.
accept life, what people say, oh, just accept life, what life's given you. Sometimes we have the power to adjust these things, and if I could adjust it, then yeah, I'm gonna adjust it. You know?
Yeah, definitely. And when you're sitting in that jail cell, bro, is there any relationship with God, or is there any like prayer? Like, is there like anything like that?
Yeah. It was all. So I was reading the Bible a lot, right?
Uh-huh.
I really didn't know what I was reading, you know?
Right,
Like I was
right.
reading I remember so I had the window that was facing the runway here in San Jose, the airport, because the jail is
Hmm.
right by the airport. So that's how I know that a plane lands every 3 minutes, right? Because I would
Yeah.
count and I would read the Bible and I would sit right there and Psalms, reading Psalms in the Bible would really calm me down. And I
Mm-hmm.
really didn't know what it meant at the time, but I just knew some of those words were making me feel like at ease a little bit, you know. So, but all my prayers, even though I felt like that they weren't working at the time, right?
Mm-hmm.
I know that what I was praying for then is my life today.
Got you.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So it wasn't on your timing. It was obviously on his timing.
For sure. Like, you ever heard that term? Like, I used to pray for the life I have today.
Yeah.
And for sure, I knew the prayers that I was praying in that jail cell. I know it's the life I have to, the life that sobriety gave me for sure.
Mm-hmm. So did you find recovery in there, or did you get out and you started running amok again?
I think so. I did a couple AA meetings in there. Like, I had been to AA before because I had two DUIs.
Uh huh.
Right, I had two DUIs prior, and I had to do like AA meetings and stuff like that. Right, and so I knew what the rooms was, but I'm just like, there's just a bunch of fucking guys, like, it's just a bunch of fucking alcoholic weirdos, like, you know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? I'm just doing these meetings because I have to, not because I want to, right?
Right.
And then it was in 2016 when I got out. I had did 26 months, and I was part of something called AB 109. So I got a prison term while I was in county. So on
Mm-hmm.
paperwork, they even gave me a prison number, right? So I
Right.
had a prison number because they weren't sending new people to prison at that time. It was called
Uh
AB
huh.
109 because of the overcrowding and all this stuff, right?
Right.
So there was guys in county that were doing prison terms,
Oh.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
so like those the guys, 8 years, like all in county, right? And so I got out, um, and my parole officer, because I had a parole officer, they switched my probation to parole, and my parole officer was like super cool, like he was super chill, like even though like he would tell me when he was gonna come by, like, hey, I'm gonna come by next week on Wednesday. So what does that tell me? Like, okay, cool. I could do cocaine on the weekend and then just stop. And by the time he comes through, it won't pop on my piss, right? Because they
Right.
didn't care about they didn't care about weed.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't even on the test.
So that's when you got out of prison, right?
That's when I got out. That's when I got out. Yeah, and then
Do you think
freaking
that's when it got deeper? Your
yeah, for
addiction?
sure. Yeah, for sure. Because I became a bartender. Right? I became a bartender, and
Yeah.
I was drinking. At the night, I was having this conversation too with my wife the other day. She's like, did it start when I was working at the bar? And I think I was drinking a lot after work,
Uh
but
huh.
then it got to the point when I was drinking before work.
Right.
Right,
Right.
and that
Yeah.
was that was a bad place to be in. Like, you know what I mean? And then she's like, when did I know? And there's like that invisible line that we can't identify in recovery when it got worse.
Mm-hmm.
And it just, I don't know, and my body just became dependent upon alcohol, right?
Right.
You know what I mean? And it didn't help too because I was only working at the bar Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So the other days I was just free, doing
Mm-hmm.
nothing. And I was making good tips. So I really didn't have anything to really worry about.
Yeah, you're fucking still drinking and doing what you're doing. You know what I mean?
Exactly. I
And
was
then you
running
know that you're
amok.
gonna go back to work on whatever days, and I'm gonna keep doing that shit again. The cycle is insanity.
Exactly.
Yeah. So
You know,
I heard you say a little bit about what do they call it, booger or sugar booger or whatever. You know, cocaine,
booger
right?
sugar. Yeah.
But did that all fall into place at the same time, or
No, that
was
was
it?
I started doing that around like seventh grade.
Oh wow.
Yeah, seventh grade. I remember. I remember the person who introduced it to me. I remember I didn't even know how to break it apart at the time. I was just snorting rocks like some
Uh,
crazy shit. You know what I mean?
yeah,
And
yeah.
and then that slowly, progressed. But now I'm like, it comes with the nightlife, right? So now
Hmm.
it's the nightlife and the women and the not being faithful to anybody, right? And then driving home drunk, like, and just revolving door, bro, revolving door.
Yeah.
And it was wild, bro.
It just progressed.
Yeah, and
Um,
I had went to treatment sometime in between that time out in Oakland. I went to MPI Oakland, but I left after 13. I left like after like 13 days or 14 days. And the girl I was with at the time, by the time she picked me up, by the time we hit the freeway, leaving that rehab, I was already high. I was already off cocaine, and I was already drinking. By the time we hit the freeway on the way back
Right,
to San
right.
Jose, because
Yeah.
she had already picked up everything for me on the way.
That's crazy, bro.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get it. You know what I mean? Because it's like, dude, God has His hand on us, right? But when are we ever gonna uh, be aware of it? You know what I mean? We're getting all these like slap on the hand.
Yeah, for
You know what
sure.
I mean?
Yeah,
Things are playing out in our life, but we're so selfish. We're so into uh, our addiction, bro, that we don't care about nothing. You know what I mean?
nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Our families, our loved ones are sitting on the sidelines watching us run amok out there, and all they could do is just because addiction and love they don't come together.
No.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Well, that's how I feel, right?
yeah.
Um, so that happens. You say you went to rehab. When do you think it was a time where you fully had to surrender, bro?
When I had to surrender, like in when I was drinking.
Well, yeah, because it led up to that, right?
Yeah,
I'm sure now you lost everything. Your relationships are probably out the water. You're not home. I don't know if you were homeless. Give me a little bit more of like
yeah.
where it
So
got
no,
to.
I wasn't. I wasn't home. I wasn't homeless. Let's go back to so we'll start out like when I was working at a club, and then I met my wife, right? So that was in 2018, right? I was in 2018, and I met my wife then. And I remember there was one moment, bro, where she had slept over, and I wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning. And I'm taking a shot of Hennessy,
Oh,
and then
shit.
I remember she looked at me and she's like, and I had just met her. She's like, "Are you an alcoholic?" And I was like, "No, I just need this to get my day started."
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And it's like, and I think she knew. She knew
She
that.
identified it, huh?
I think she identified it, bro, and and she was young at the time too, and so or in the clubbing stage, and so I'm sure with her it was kind of like, oh, whatever, like you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Um, but there was multiple times where I was taking shots, and I'm like, damn, I'm an alcoholic, bro, like you know what I mean. As I take the shot,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So you get into this relationship, bro. Hey, because she has a chance. Hey, you know what? I ain't being with this guy. This guy drinks at 6 in the morning. Fuck
yeah,
that. You know what I mean? But she
bro,
stays with you, bro.
yeah, she stayed. I'm like running amok, drinking. Um, Going to like after hours right here in San Jose, and you know
Yeah.
what I mean. And she's like catching me and all this shit, and she's still with me and fucking. I don't. You know what? I don't know what she was thinking. Like I always tell myself like she's seen something in me that I didn't see in myself at the time. Like I don't know if she knew I was gonna get better or if like I still don't know to this day. Like what it was. I'm pretty sure. Like obviously she loved me and stuff like that. But it was coming to an end, like pretty. It was coming to an end, bro. It was coming to the end. When I went into treatment for the last time, like she was already packed up and like moved out. Like seriously, like you know what I mean.
Yeah. What led you to go into the treatment for your last time?
I went to treatment in the beginning of early 2020, and then I got out and I had smoked some weed and I knew I was gonna drink. I just didn't know I was gonna drink at that time, right? I didn't. Oh, I smoked some weed. And then I knew I was gonna drink, but not at that moment. I knew I was gonna drink later in my head, and I
Hmm.
ended up drinking. And then I ended just back on that downward spiral. And then what led me to drinking the treatment the last time is I can't remember if it was June 21st or June 22nd, a couple days before my sobriety date. It might have been the 22nd, but at that time, my wife she's already packed up and like I think moved out or sleeping at her grandma's,
Right.
and I'm coming off a hard detox, bro. Like my sponsor was sitting with me in the room, and I was detoxing. As soon as he leaves, bro, I go to the liquor store.
Hmm.
and I get bottles of vodka. I get bottles of vodka, and then I think it was like either June 22nd or a couple days before my sobriety date. Um, my mom had come in the room in the morning, bro, and I had vodka. And I had like I was just in my bed, and she knew I was drinking, bro. Like, you know what I mean? I think there was bottles of vodka next to me too, like empty bottles of vodka.
Mm-hmm.
And and I remember telling my mom, like, damn, like, take me back to treatment. Like, you know what I mean? My mom's like, my mom's like, you're going back to treatment. Like, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because I knew that I couldn't do it by myself. Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
I knew I needed to go back in. And,
But do you feel like, for people watching, man, like, because sometimes, bro, we stay, I shared this today, sometimes we stay in our addiction, sometimes we stay in that darkness longer than we need to because I don't want to admit, bro, that I'm struggling. I don't want to admit that, I'm weak because I'm a man.
yeah, yeah,
You know what I
exactly.
mean? And the world's going to tell me that that's going to make me less of a man. So we stay there a little longer.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean? But I feel it's like that just exposes like that we need to rely on a power greater than ourselves. We
Yeah,
don't know that yet. We don't know that then, but we learn that because of the program. You know what I mean?
yeah, exactly.
And so,
Because we tried doing it by ourselves. And we
yeah.
and we couldn't do it. I couldn't fucking do it. And you know what's crazy? Like, I every time I told my mom, and there was a couple times where I told my mom, and I told my mom I was gonna stop. And you know what the fucked up part is? That is I fucking meant it. Like in my heart, I meant it. But alcohol made me believe like I was really gonna stop. Like my mindset then, I was like, you know what? I am gonna stop. Like next thing you know, fucking the next day, an hour later, it was
And
done. Like
you were running and gunning again.
I was ready and gunning again, and it's crazy.
And then you go for a very long time, bro. So like how I like to say it, bro, is like the enemy will corrupt your mind, and when he corrupts your mind, your hand will follow.
Yeah,
You know
for
what I
sure.
mean? Those
Yeah,
thoughts, like, hey, you're not an alcoholic, you're not an addict. You know what I mean? You could stop whenever you want to stop. Don't worry. I don't
exactly.
I do the drug. The drug don't do me.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know,
yeah, yeah,
and it's just like, bro, do you listen to yourself? You know what I mean?
yeah, 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 for
And it's
sure.
crazy, bro, because we don't think about it in that moment, bro. But that's what's so beautiful about recovery is because you get to go back and reflect. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
um,
yeah, for sure.
so you step into the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous, right?
Yeah, I step in. Obviously, June 24th is my sobriety day of 2020, and I remember sitting there. I went back into treatment, and I was detoxing at the hospital first, so they didn't let me in treatment, so I had to detox at the hospital, and it was June 24th at 6:13 on the clock. I remember looking at the clock. I remember
Uh-huh.
sitting. There was a quiet room at the treatment center I was at, and I was sitting there, and I remember, bro. I remember I just started crying. Like I was crying. I didn't know why I was crying, bro. I didn't know if it's because I always like to explain it is like I didn't know if I was crying because my soul was like broken or
Uh-huh.
because I was in physical pain still, right?
Right.
And so I remember I started crying, and I remember I was in treatment, and I was just sitting there, and I remember like thinking like, fuck, like if there's any hope for me, like I don't know, to this day I'm I know I was talking to somebody up there. I know I was talking to somebody. I don't know if I was talking to my grandpa or God, but I remember asking whoever was up there if there's anything like you have left in me, like any hope or any trust, like just help me get the fucking hang of this drinking thing, right? Because I was fucking bankrupt like in my mind, bro. I
Uh-huh.
was like bankrupt in my soul. And that was the day I could that was the day I like fully surrendered to like getting help. I was like, you know what? That's that's hopefully what will be my last 911 of prayer, right?
Uh-huh.
And it's crazy, bro, because that night I had this crazy dream, right? Where this lady came to me in my dream, And she came to me in my dream, and I have like this black hood on my in me, and there's people to my right and people to my left, and they're all along sitting down with me, and they all have their hoods on, so I can't see anybody. And there's this lady coming by with like a almost like a not a tea kettle, but like a candle on a plate, going
Mm-hmm.
like this, and it was lit. The candle was lit, and she comes by me, and then she passes me, and then she comes back to me, right?
Yeah.
She comes back to me and she tells me in my dream, she tells me, Julian, lift up your head. And I lift up my head and I can't remember what this lady looked like. I just know that she had like brown brunette hair. She had like a white veil over the top of her head. And the closest resemblance I could think of what she looks like is that, you know, that singer Cher?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the closest resemblance what I could think that she looked like, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she told me, Julian, lift up your head. And I lifted up my head. And she said, I could sense that you have a lot of pain and hurt inside of you. She said, let me help you with that. And
Uh-huh.
she blew out the candle in my face. And when the candle blew out, I woke up. And
Uh-huh.
I woke up and my eyes were fucking swollen and they were crusted. My pillow was wet like I had been crying all night, right? And I woke up and I was thinking like, what the hell? So I went and I told the one of the counselors, right? Because it was breakfast time. And I told her, Donna, I was like, I had this crazy dream. Like, she goes, well, what was it? And I told her what the dream was. And she goes, well, you may have just had your first spiritual experience
Mm-hmm.
in recovery, right? And
Yeah.
at the time, I didn't know what that meant. I was like, okay, I just had a vivid dream, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then she goes, I want you to see how this next week plays out for you, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, okay. She goes, just come to me at the end of the week and tell me how your week was. I was like, okay, cool. And she said, you know what, Julian? She said, and I'll remember. I remember where I was standing. I remember exactly what she told me. She said, Julian. She said, you're one of God's soldiers that were chosen to go through trials and tribulations, so that way you could save someone's life in the future. And I had no idea what that meant at the time, bro. Like, I had no idea. And
Mm-hmm.
and she said, come talk to me in a week. And I remember going through that week, bro. I had hit so many like obstacles. Like people were pissing me off. There was a director there at the treatment center that I was just like I was getting frustrated, right? But you know what? That whole week, even though I had all these things coming at me,
Yeah.
I didn't react the normal way that I was reacting. Like
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't getting super pissed off. Like there
You
was this
weren't
director that
impulsive.
got yeah, I wasn't getting impulsive anymore, right? And things that usually would piss me off weren't pissing me off, right?
Right.
And I had told her about like I had a counselor during that week. I was
Mm-hmm.
sharing one of the assignments that she gave me, and I was crying, bro, during this assignment. And she walked up during the middle of my assignment and just left the room, like to go take a phone call, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, "You're my counselor. Like, how you just gonna get up and walk out of like when I'm sharing this like crazy like assignment you gave me?" But I was, you know what? I was okay with that. Like, I
Yeah.
was like, you know what? She doesn't get the benefit of hearing my emotions like come out like that. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Maybe, she's not the person I should be processing this with, right?
Mm-hmm.
This director got in my face of the treatment center over some dumb thing, right? And he had got all in my face, and I was sitting there, and I was just like, okay, okay. Usually, when someone gets in my face, like, bro, I'm probably gonna hit you, like, you know what I mean? But
Right.
I didn't get that tendency of like wanting to hit this guy, and that's where the process I feel like of my that week that was the process of my change, right? Start
Mm-hmm.
of my change because I noticed that that dream had happened, my thinking started to change, and then my behavior started to change, and then my choices started to change, right?
Mm-hmm.
And whatever it was, whoever it was that came to me in my dream, I'm a firm believer that when she came to me in my dream that night, she took a lot of the pain and a lot of the anger that I had inside of me. Um, that dream, whatever it was, she took it out, bro. She stripped it from my body. Of course, I'm human, so I still get frustrated. I still get upset sometimes, but nothing like how I used to, bro. Like I haven't hit a wall I haven't thrown anything. Like I'm the type of person that will punch a wall, kick a wall, throw stuff, like screaming people's like you know what I mean. And since that day, I can't remember the last time I've done something like that. I don't think I've punched a wall in recovery.
Yeah.
I don't think I've thrown something at somebody in recovery. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So it's beautiful you share that, bro, because I even though I'm on the other side of the camera, bro, but I see you get emotional. You know what I mean? I see you have this truth behind what you're saying, bro, because it's real. You get what
Yeah.
I'm saying? You felt this spiritual awakening, whether it was confirmation, but you know that something was gonna start working in your life, and things were gonna change, right? And what you're sharing right now is like the enemy was still trying to attack you
Hmm.
because on the other side you got that confirmation that you know what, I don't need to act this way, I don't need to react off of you, I don't need to do this, but the enemy's gonna do whatever it is to get you off course, bro.
Exactly.
And you stayed obedient and you stayed focused and you stayed on the path, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
And God put what certain people in your life to give you that guidance, to give you that um the structure, or whatever it is. And well, I feel that pain behind because you're it becomes emotional, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's real,
Yeah.
bro. I feel this emotion and I want to share it, you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
And I feel
So
like I feel like it's because like even while I was saying what I was saying
uh
in my head, I'm still at that treatment center as I'm talking. Like I remember like the moments, like when I was talking about him getting in my face, I could literally like in my head I'm picturing him in my face, like, and I think that's what I think that I feel like that God help me with that with helps me with that imagery. You know what I
hmm
mean? He helps me
yeah,
with that so that way I don't forget the feeling, right? Of how that felt. You know what I
right,
mean? And so
yeah,
yeah, man,
definitely.
it doesn't matter how many times I've shared that part of my life, it always brings up emotion, bro. Like doesn't matter how many times I've said it, it just naturally comes like that water in the back of your eye, right? I
hmm
had my former sponsor that I had for the first 2 years. He had told me that when you get that water in the back of your eye, that means that that's God letting you know that He still has your back.
hmm
You know what I
definitely,
mean?
bro.
Yeah.
So okay, so you're in a treatment. You have some time. What are the first couple of months of treatment look like for are the program, or those rooms, or what do the first couple of months look like? Because everything doesn't happen overnight, bro.
Yeah. No.
You know what I mean? You start feeling the emotions, that anxiety, that depression, the anger. You start feeling all that stuff. Like for me, bro, like I felt like it was worse because I couldn't run to the bag. I couldn't run to the bottle to numb my emotions.
Yeah.
When I'm in those rooms, I'm fucking feeling these emotions and I don't like nobody.
Yeah. Exactly, bro.
You
Exactly.
know? So what was it like for you?
I think the weeks I was in treatment for like 37 days, right? And they would give out these assignments, right? So they would only give out one a week, and I was only there for 4 weeks, right? And
Mm,
so I knew I needed to get to work, bro. So I did. I was constantly asking my counselor for assignments, right? So you're usually supposed to get assignment a week, and what I was
yeah.
doing, bro, is every time I was done, I would ask her for another assignment, and I ended up doing like 11 assignments, like during my 4 weeks there, because I didn't care. I didn't care, bro. When I was in treatment, I didn't care about watching TV. I didn't care about outside smoking cigarettes. You could find me in one or two places. If I wasn't in the dining room eating from getting all the food that I missed out on those past, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
I was in my room reading the big book, or I was in the quiet room where I had surrendered. I was in the quiet room and I was doing assignments, just knocking them out, or I was journaling. Like I still have all my journals to this day, and the if you look on my first day on June 24th when I surrendered on my sobriety date, I was writing in my journal, "You got this. You got
Mhm.
this. God has your back." Like I was literally writing this shit into existence. Like I feel like you know what I mean. And then the day before I was I completed treatment. they pulled me out of the quiet room and they told me that my grandmother had died.
Mm.
Right, and so right away I'm like, you know what? Why you gotta do this, God? Like I'm on a good path, right? And so I stepped outside in the treatment center and I went to the back and I was smoking a cigarette, right? And
Uh-huh.
I was like automatically wanting to blame God, right?
Right, right.
Automatically wanted to blame him, right? And then I sat there, and then my good friend in the program, she comes to me. She's still sober to this day. She was in treatment with me, and she goes, she told me like, well, maybe your grandmother, maybe this is a test. Maybe this is your first test in sobriety. And she's like, unfortunately, it's a big one. She goes, but do you want to live with your grandmother knowing that you're going to live a life sober? Or do you want her watching over you and say, no, watching you die from alcohol poisoning? And I was like, fuck, like, well, shit, bro. Like, you know what? My grandma's gonna, she's gonna watch her grandson fucking stay sober. Like, you know what I mean? And I told myself, bro, I was like, if I could get through this death, if I could get through this first death, 36 days sober, I could get through anything in sobriety,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because if I could get through these big trials and tribulations, right, at this moment, there's nothing that I can't face in sobriety, right? Um, and I got out. My girlfriend, my wife, she had just flown in from Vegas. I called her. I was like, I left treatment a day early because I was like, you know what, I want to come home with my family. Like, you know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean?
Yeah.
Um, and then 2 days later, I checked myself into a SLE.
Mm-hmm.
I had already had it planned out. Like I was already going to a SLE. I went to go live at the SLE, and I loved it. I was only supposed to stay there for a month, right? And I loved it so much that I think I ended up staying there for like 4 or 5 months, bro, because it was just keeping me on my shit, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I did the whole 90 and 90, right?
Mm-hmm.
I did like 176 meetings in like 90 days, bro. Like my life focused around fucking focused around meetings, right? And just going, spending time with my wife, and then I would come here to my mom's, and I'm like, that's all I worried about. I didn't worry about hanging out with old friends. I cut off a lot of people, bro. I would only go to like my friend's son's birthday parties, but I had a time limit for everything. I had certain like even to this day like we had this thing in sobriety. Like if I told my wife like if I feel uncomfortable, I'm gonna tell you and we're gonna leave. And there was moments where I'm like, hey, we got like 10 more minutes here, and my wife was like, all right, cool, 10 more minutes, we're out. Like, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And we still have that to this day. Like, if I tell my wife or my wife tells me, like, hey, like 30 more minutes, I'm like, okay, cool. Like, we'll stick to that. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? We'll stick to that to this day.
You guys are accountability part, and it sounds, bro, like your wife is very, supportive of you, bro. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Um,
100%. 100%.
and she's 110% on board.
Oh,
Julian says
100%.
go, let's go.
Yeah.
And that's super important, because we hear a lot in the programs, bro. Like, if you're not in a relationship, don't get in a relationship.
Yeah.
Don't make no big decisions for that first year. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And but she stuck with you, bro. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's beautiful
She
because
wrote it
I know
out.
you. I know you a little bit. Like off the camera and stuff like that, bro. And what you got going on is definitely inspiring. You know what I mean? As far as like who you are today, and iron sharpens iron, bro. So when I um, need some advice or need someone to talk to, you are someone that I could reach out to. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for
And
sure.
well, a couple more things I wanted to ask you, bro, is. Uh, you do the meetings, you do all that stuff, but I feel like this is me, right? You're in action. You're constantly in action. You're not depending on the meetings to keep you sober, because for me, bro, the meetings that are not gonna keep me sober is me being in action is what's gonna keep me sober. And what I mean by that is doing what's suggested.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
And you were in motion, bro.
Yeah.
You don't really hear, oh, I got out and I checked myself in a men's house. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, and you stuck to it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
For sure. Colin, give me a moment, bro. I'm gonna put these dogs inside so that way.
Yeah, for sure, bro. But yeah, Julian, your story, bro, is definitely inspiring, man. For the viewers that are watching, man, I know that you're giving off that something that someone needs to hear. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But
Because
go ahead, go ahead.
like I wanted to start this, bro, because I was that individual who suffered from abandonment issues too. I
Yeah.
was that individual who I had family that loved me, but I didn't even know what love is, and I took that love and I took advantage of it. You know what I mean? I did cause a lot of uh, disruption in people's lives, and hurt people, and all these things. So I wanted to start this so that I could show others that what, no matter what you're facing in life, bro, whatever darkness, there's always an individual out there who could share something, and you could get something from it, bro.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
100%.
You could get something from it, and that's definitely what you're feeding off right now, Julian. Um, and I'm grateful for that, bro. And so I got two more questions, man. Um, where you at today? What did recovery give you as far as foundation, uh, relationship with God, career?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Do you give back to the community?
Yeah.
Where you at right now with all that?
Yeah, so today my foundation is I have, you heard me say this before, is I keep God first, my
Right.
sobriety is second, and my wife comes third. Those are the three simple rules I have in my life, and I don't break them for nobody. I don't care. I don't break them for nothing. Right? And as long as I
Mm-hmm.
keep those three things in order, everything else seems to fall into place, bro. Like as long as I keep those three things right,
Uh huh.
everything seems to fall into place, right? And
Right.
someone told me to do that a long time ago when I first got into sobriety, and I stuck by him, but I kind of didn't really stick by him, right? Obviously, because with time comes change and growth, right? And then what my life looks like today, man, is just like, but besides the materialistic stuff, like I've been working at a rehab since I was 90 days sober, bro, 90
Mm-hmm.
days. So I've been working there for probably almost about 5.5 years, right?
Right.
I work at a nonprofit. I work at the old high school. That I used to like do cocaine in these teachers' classes. Like now I'm doing a presentation for her this Friday. The
Mm-hmm.
same teacher that I was doing cocaine in her class and drinking, I'm doing a presentation for her this Friday, for Narcan training, like
Right.
how to help people like if they overdose, right?
Mm-hmm.
I have a sponsor. I have sponsees that I'm taking through, that some have finished the steps, right? One of my sponsees, I call him my oldest son. He's coming up on 3 years. The other one's
Mm-hmm.
coming up on 2 years. I have a sponsee, coming up on, I have sponsees with a couple months, sponsees with a couple years, sponsees with a couple weeks. You know what I mean?
Right. Right.
Um, and the beautiful thing is watching them get what they lost. You know what I
Mm.
mean? That's a
Yeah.
fucking beautiful. That's a beautiful thing, bro. And knowing that I was able to share some of the solution that God gave me and the rooms gave me, and they could take a little piece of that and get their life back, bro. And you know what the crazy thing is? Everything that I told them that they were gonna get back, they started getting it back, or they have gotten it back, right? And the
Yeah.
reason why I could tell them that is because of the fact that sobriety gave me everything that I lost back. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Everything,
bro. I
everything, bro.
know.
And even though sometimes we don't get it back how we want it, we still get some type of relationship or some type of bond between the thing that we lost. We still get something in that form back. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean?
Yeah.
Um, I'm going to school right now to be a drug and alcohol counselor. I passed all every. I've never been good at school. Never been good
Mm-hmm.
at school. When I was attending school, let me rephrase that, right?
Yeah.
Um, and now I'm on 3 semesters. I'm on my third semester of college, and I've passed every single class that I've had. You know what I mean? Up until this point, right now I'm taking a public speaking class, so I'm speaking at the Adobe building next month in front of like 150 people, people that I don't know, people that aren't in the rooms. I'm speaking to 150 people of just like people from different colleges, like some deans, some professors. Um, and I had to audition for that, right? And just to be able to share my story of change, right? Because I don't. The last thing I want people to do is feel sorry for me. I don't.
Right.
I don't like a poor me story, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And when I share, I do my best to share the process of change, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
I don't want people to feel bad for me. That's not my intention. Is for people to feel bad for me. I want people to know that they could hear something in my story, and if there's something they could take and apply it to their life, right? Then they could pass it on to the next person, and hopefully they can get a life that they want too. And am I perfect? Fuck no, dog. Like I'm not fucking perfect. I still have character defects that need to be addressed every single day. I still have to work on myself. I'm not perfect. Like right now, I'm a father to a newborn. It's a huge learning curve, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's frustrating. It's my patience has been tested. Communication with my wife, um, feeling hopeless sometimes, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that's all part of change. The,
Yeah.
the uncomfortability is all part of change. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what? I'm okay with that. I'm
Mm-hmm.
okay with that because the process has to shape me before it molds me. You know what
Mm.
I mean?
Yeah.
It has to shape me before it takes me to this new identity in life right now because I had the identity of being who I was, and then the alcoholic, and then I had the identity of being someone in sobriety, and then my identity grew when I got married, and now my identity is changing as now being a father, right? And so
Yeah.
my sponsor is working with me and helping me change my identity and helping me identify these things, right? Because it's a big change. It's a
Mm-hmm.
it's a big change, and you know what, dog? It's fucking scary. It's
Yeah.
scary, bro. It's scary. And the last thing I want people to think is that I have everything going on. Yeah, my life is beautiful, dog. But I still go through stuff just like a human being, bro. I still go through the stuff. But the difference is I have people like you. I have the Sober Strong crew if I needed to reach out to. I have people in my life today to guide me when I'm feeling fucked up or when I'm feeling uncomfortable. I'm
Mm-hmm.
able to utilize other people in my life that are willing to help me and give me
Yeah.
the advice I need. You know what I mean? And back in the day, I did have that, but I wasn't willing to reach out to people.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And today I have that, and I have this sense of like peace in my heart, right? I have a spiritual connection with God, man, that is beautiful that I just have conversations with him. You know what I mean? That's
Yeah.
the best relationship. It's just I like to say is there's three different levels of relationship with God. Is first you have hope that he could do something for you, then you have faith that he can do something for you, and then you trust that he can do something for you, right?
Right.
And when you hit that trust level, that's when you have start having conversations with God. You know what
Mm-hmm.
I mean? And that's where my relationship is at today, where I really don't have a lot of worries. You know what I mean? I mean, I have things in the back of my head, the stuff that I'm going through, but I know everything's gonna be all right.
Definitely.
If God took care of me all the way up until this point, why? You know what I mean? Why not
Mm-hmm.
trust Him now? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. You notice that I don't just need God when I'm up. I need God when I'm down. I need God
Uh,
all the time.
I need
You know
God.
what
My
I
God
mean?
is everything, or He's nothing.
Right. And what's beautiful about your story, bro, and this is why I like to, have these conversations right here, because on the outside, it could look good, bro, you know? But sit down with an individual who's been through that adversity, who's been through the trials and tribulations, who's been in that darkness, and see where they're at today. You know, it might look good on the outside, but hey, I struggled, you know, too. You know, I just have a power greater than myself who I rely on. I have individuals around me who are gonna pick me up when I fall, who are gonna hold me accountable, who are gonna direct me. You know, when I don't know what I'm doing, you know, don't just judge me on the outside. You know what I mean? Sit down with me and have a conversation with me. That's why I love having conversations
For
like this,
sure.
bro.
Yeah.
You know,
100%.
because
No, I agree.
it gives me that humility. It gives me that gratitude hearing your story, bro, because it's fucking real.
Yeah.
This guy was running a monk out there. This guy was doing what he was doing, and he changed his life, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And when I hear those stories, bro, it's just a reminder that you know what, it's real. You know what I mean?
This
That
is real.
that
Yeah.
change is possible. Hell has an exit. You know, you could stand strong. You could stand sober strong, and that you're not alone. You know.
Yeah. 100%. 100%.
One more quick question, Julian. If there's an individual on here who's struggling, bro, you know, and it doesn't just have to be with addiction. It could just be with any kind of struggle in life, man. What would be something you would tell them?
If they're struggling,
Yeah.
I would say the number one thing is if you're struggling like right now, like and you're on this you're on this live right now, if you're struggling, first off, I would like to say that everything's gonna be all right,
Mhm.
right? But find somebody. Find somebody to talk to. Find somebody to process your stuff with. If you're a man, if you're a woman, find somebody to process what you're going through with because we have to drop our pride and our ego because we can't figure life out by ourselves. We need directions. We need somebody who has been there, done that. Find a supportive friend. Find somebody who's not going to co-sign your bullshit and tell you what you want to hear.
Yeah.
Find somebody that's going to be direct with you. Somebody that's going to tell you some honest fucking truth, right?
Mhm.
Um, and yeah, find. And if you have to go to therapy, go to therapy. If you don't have insurance, find a county program to look into. Like, there's options out there, but sometimes we think that there's no one around us going through what we're going through. Um, so that would be my advice if you're going through something that is to reach out to somebody that is going through. Reach out to somebody, right?
Right.
Because you don't have to go through what you're going through alone. There's
Definitely,
so- there's
Julian.
somebody there's somebody that has a solution for you. But sometimes we just gotta do that little initiative and that little kickstart to go find it. But once you
Yeah.
find it, you're locked in, bro. You're connected. Once you find it, you're connected. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And for me, that was the people in the rooms. That
Hmm.
was that was the people in the rooms. And if even if you're on this meeting, even if you're on this Zoom or live, and you're not an alcoholic, go to an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting and just tell them, you know what I mean? Hey, I'm
Yeah.
not an alcoholic, but I'm going through some shit today. I guarantee you, someone's gonna be like, you know what? Let's go have some lunch after this.
Yeah.
Let's go talk after this because Alcoholics Anonymous and the 12 steps, that's just not for people that are alcoholics, bro. That shit, the only step that mentions alcohol is step one.
Right.
Other than that, it's all internal work.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? And in a perfect world, yeah, the steps would be great for fucking everybody. You know
Not
what I
for
mean?
real, huh?
The steps works for anything, bro.
Bro, I feel the same way, bro. Like, hey, just come, bro. Just come
Yeah,
and stop looking at it from the outside. Actually, come in, bro. Because what it does, bro, it dissects. You know, it
yeah,
dissects
it
and
dissects
yeah, and it helps you realize you're not alone, bro. You'll hear something in those rooms that you can relate to and be like, fuck.
for sure,
You
for
know,
sure.
and that's the beautiful thing about those rooms, bro. So, Julian, I want to close this out, bro. I appreciate you coming on here, man. I love your story. You know, I'm sure it touched uh, someone, you know, watching this today, man. If there's any last words that you got to say, feel free to say it. I'll put all your information. I'm new to this still. It's a process, bro, but I have to start somewhere. You know what I mean? And
Yeah,
I'm
for sure,
glad
bro.
you're a part of this, bro. So if there's any last words you would like to say before we get off, go
Yeah, for
ahead.
sure, bro. First off, God bless Sober Strong, right?
Hmm.
And thank you, Bernie, for it's crazy how you can grow a relationship with somebody, and we've only met one time, and I felt like I've known you for fucking forever, bro. And if there's any last thing that I would like to say on a closing message, it would be that sometimes we're so busy on focusing on what the world got's going on and all this political stuff and things that don't even fucking really involve us that we completely neglect what's important. And
Right.
it starts at home. The real service and the real work starts at home. And sometimes we're so consumed with what the media got's going on, everything in the news, that we completely fucking neglect ourselves, right?
Hmm.
And so what I'm trying to say is that we have a certain energy. Us as human beings, we have energy in our lives, and we have to protect it, right? If you're married, you have to protect your wife's energy too. If you have kids, you gotta protect your kids' energy too, right? And something I was talking to my wife about this the other day is that if you have strong energy, you have to protect it, right? And you protect it, and it becomes expensive. And let's face it,
Right, right.
not a lot of people can fucking afford it, bro. Not a lot of
Hmm.
people can afford it, and not everybody deserves to be in your life. You know what I
Right.
mean? So that would be my message for people today: is just protect your energy. Don't be so consumed with what the world got's going on, and don't neglect what you got in front of you, because the service and the work starts at home. Fuck everything else.
Definitely, bro. I can love you, but I can love you from a distance.
Exactly, Doug.
Thank you,
Exactly.
Julian. I appreciate it, bro. I'll talk to you more after this. But this is Recovery 209. Keep shining light where there once was darkness, regardless.
So, Later.
All right, bro.